Hey, what's up guys? Justin from Out of the Basement here again today to do a Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch action figure review. I recently found both GREEF KARGA and Queel at a Target yesterday, so I thought I would review the GREEF KARGA since Queel is already a review that is up on our channel. Taking a look, this is of course Star Wars The Mandalorian. We have that logo on the bottom, GREEF KARGA in the nice darker orangish text, and the color scheme that the Mandalorian has been going with. Of course, this is the new packaging. We have the nice little profile side image of Greef, and we have these little flying Mandos up there. On the back, we have the number 6 in Star Wars The Mandalorian line. Color continues there. Black Series logo on the side. Window packaging on the top. Over here, we have the same exact profile shot on the side. Black Series logo, name, and the little read up. Overall, I'm pretty interested to take a look at this one because we did criticize the photos of the promotional material. We did criticize those pretty heavily, so I'm really interested to get this guy out of the packaging. Before we get into the figure itself, let's take a look at the two accessories, which are two blaster pistols. To me, this looks like unpainted gray plastic there at the tip, at the top, but there is a brown painted handle, so it's just gray plastic, but at the very least they added that brown for the handle. Same thing with this one. There is some molded detail though to match GREEF KARGA's blaster pistols. Maybe they could have added a wash or something to bring out the details. Doesn't look to me, just kind of just looks like gunmetal gray plastic. But again, there is some nice sculpted detail in there. And here is GREEF KARGA out of the packaging, and my first initial thoughts are not as bad as I thought. This is a figure that definitely looks better in person, but let's take a closer look at that face. So coming in to take a closer look at the face, the sculpt itself is a pretty decent likeness to Carl Weathers. However, based upon everything that I have seen Carl Weathers in, from Predator to even something more modern like The Mandalorian Season 2, I genuinely believe that Carl Weathers has a darker skin tone than what is portrayed in this figure. I think the skin tone on this figure is a tad too light. Maybe it has something to do with the photoreal process or something like that. But aside from the skin tone, I still think it looks like GREEF KARGA. When I look at this on the shelf, there's no doubt that this looks like GREEF KARGA. And the sculpt itself for the head is honestly pretty good. And it is not as glossy as I thought it was going to be either. There is definitely still some gloss, especially like over here in the nose and like everywhere you can basically see a reflection. But it's not as glossy as I thought it would be. So the head sculpt is not bad, but again, I think the skin tone would have been darker on this figure. I don't really know. What do you guys think? But in terms of the rest of the figure, his slash right here, which is like half of a trench coat, and it's like it half covers him. This outfit is one big hunk of plastic, but there's some really nice detail in it. And if you look really close, it looks like it is leather. Like, it really does look like it is leather. And there is a variety of paint on here. We have, if you look up in here, there's actually some nice detail. Everything kind of looks like scales or like sequins of some kind. Over here at the belt, there's some different gold. And then this brown is a different shade than this brown. And this brown is a different shade than this brown and this brown. We have the gloves here. So there's a nice paint variety. I like a lot of different shades of paint. Even the boots down here are a different shade, and those are sculpted nicely as well. Looks pretty snuggled. He has a holster right there and a holster right there, so that's pretty cool. Paint apps are all really clean. Take a look at the hair here. Black hair. Another variety of paint. Also, the mustache is really nice. Placement on that. It doesn't go over his lips, kind of like the Pedro Pascal build-up pack did. We have some nice bit of silver, so there's actually some really decent paint apps on here. You get a nice variety of different shades of paint, nice bit of gold, nice bit of silver, and all around it looks pretty decent. I know some people might not be fans of this being a huge hunk of plastic, but I think if this was soft, I don't think it would look as good as it does right here. and he can hold his blasters absolutely no problem. Both hands are trigger fingers, which is a plus. So as far as articulation goes, the head can go back and forth like this. It has that separate neck articulation like a lot of the modern Black Series figures do. The head can tilt that far to the side. You get a pretty nice amount of head tilt. Of course, it can rotate all around. You can look up a pretty decent amount and look down a pretty decent amount. That's pretty good. His arms rotate around like that. There are butterfly joints. You know us at the basement, we are big fans of the butters, and Greef has the butters. Single jointed elbow, but you still get about 90 degrees, and again you have those butterfly joints, so that kind of doesn't make that as bad. The lower half of the arm goes around like that. No gauntlet swivel. However, the trigger finger hand on both sides rotates all around like that, and they both have the vertical hinge. About the same, but I feel like this one goes a little bit more. And again, rotates around, and they are both gunslinging vertical hinges. That is great. Now at this section right here, you can see that moving, like the mid section, the waist. You can go about that far back and about that far forward. That's actually pretty decent as well. The leg kicks out pretty far. It's actually not hindered by this holster or anything like that. The single jointed pinless knee, which we are huge fans of, also rotates at the thigh. The feet can go that far up, that far down, and of course you got ankle pivot. Same exact thing over here. Can kick out super far. Single jointed pinless knee design. We really love that. And of course you have this crazy decent foot articulation. I don't know about you guys, but GREEF KARGA is looking like he's a damn good figure. Aside from the skin tone being a bit too light, I think that's going to be my one small issue with it. There is still some really nice details, some really good sculpt work, a very nice variety of paint in my opinion. He holds his accessories really well. Both of his hands are not only both trigger finger hands, but they are both gunslinger vertical hinge hands, which is really, really good. The knees are the single jointed pinless knees that make the figure look even more realistic. The articulation is there. He has butterfly joints. The face itself does look good. I do think it looks like GREEF KARGA, and he has a great shelf presence. And again, the skin tone is a small issue for me, but you can still easily tell that it is GREEF KARGA. Let's make some comparisons. Here he is next to the episodes 1 and 2 from Season 1 Mandalorian, IG-11, Cara Dune, Kuiil, which if you haven't checked out the review, make sure you do so, the Mandalorian in his Beskar armor, the Target exclusive Remnant Stormtrooper, the Incinerator Stormtrooper, and of course the Child, which I feel scales really well. Overall guys, this guy definitely gets my seal of approval. I think it's a pretty great figure. I think it looks really great on the Mandalorian section of the shelf, and it is definitely an easy recommend from us at the basement. In terms of the two pickups here from me with Kuiil and GREEF KARGA both found at Target, I think I'm a little more satisfied with GREEF KARGA if I'm going to be completely honest. I think he has better articulation and slightly better paint, but I'll take both. But GREEF KARGA gets the win over Kuiil. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of Mr. GREEF KARGA, Mr. Carl Weathers here. Let me know what you guys think of this figure. Do you think the skin tone is too light, kind of like how I think? Or do you think it looks perfectly fine? Did you pick this up recently? Anything you guys want to let me know, comment down below. Like I said, I'm Justin from Out of the Basement, and we will see you guys in the next video.